Yeah, yeah, yeah. Football feast, football feast. This the football feast extra podcast. Hey, football feast, football feast, football feast extra podcast. Playing soccer, grabbing cleats. Playing soccer, time to meet. Playing soccer, time to greet. They finna talk a lot. Okay, playing soccer, get the cleats. Playing soccer, let's get it. Playing soccer, let's go. Football podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Football Feast Extra podcast. You're here with Billy and myself today. I've gone nice and festive. I've got my Christmas jumper on for those that are watching YouTube and can see me. I've got my Aaron Ramsdale with Gabriel Jesus as baby Jesus. All festive. Nice. Yeah. No Baron today, and he's going to be not with us until sort of into the new year. So just stuck with me and Billy for the next month or two.
So.
Yeah. But those are the breaks. Before we get into the actual podcast, as it's just come to light today, Sunderland have got a new manager. I thought, whilst it's fresh, I'd ask you about it. What your thoughts on Sunderland's new manager?
Gutted. But I hope he proves me wrong. I've seen so many comments from people going. One of them, right, from a fan. We'll put that in brackets because they was going, "Oh, I hope he fails." Like, what the fuck what do you mean you hope he fails? Just so you can be proven right. Like, it's apparently you're a fan and you support the club. Like, I don't like it, but it is what it is. Now you support him.
Yeah, it's a bit stupid. Like, I've seen, I can understand it when you're getting battered 6-0 every week, and you're going nowhere, and then you win a few games, and it's like, oh, I just want to get battered 8-0 because at least they'll sack him and we can improve. But to say at the start before anything's even happened, oh, I hope he fails, is a bit.
Yeah, just
like you want your club to win.
Not my first choice at all. Wouldn't have been my first choice at all. I think we had better than what.
You wanted the guy from France, didn't you? The guy from was it Rant?
Will Steele. There was a Swedish fella who was being linked. He looks quite good, and the I wouldn't like Michael Beale wouldn't have been in my top 10 of people who I would have had, but he's there now, so I hope he proves me wrong.
Only time will tell. We'll come back and see what's happened after Christmas. See if they're in a relegation battle.
Right, no, we're only 2 or 3 off playoffs.
Why did you sack your manager then?
We'd only won 2 in 9 or something, 3 in 9 maybe. But
so you would have been right. You'd have been in the top 2 if you had to lost those games. Then, if you were better for, because if you're still only 2 points away from playoffs and you've only won 2 in 9.
Yeah, we're 3 off the playoffs. We're in 7th on 33, and then there's 36 and 36. So. All to play for still, but a bit of a weird decision. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, fair enough. There was no episode last week around Christmas time. Everyone's just been mega busy, and basically we couldn't get around to recording one, unfortunately. But what did happen last week is Joey Barton came out and said some things, said some controversial things, and I thought this is the first chance we've had to properly address Joey Barton's comments on here. So he's basically saying that women are in football or in commentary and punditry in the men's game to tick boxes, and they're not there based on merit, and they're taking jobs away from deserving male pundits, former players, all that lot. Okay, so what's your thoughts on that? I mean, you're quite agree with him, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I do, 100%. Some of them are absolutely shocking. Some of them are awful, and they are just there to tick boxes. But some of the men are as well. There is a few men in there that are also terrible. The thing that annoys me is I was watching one. I've watched a couple now, and it's just been all women.
Yeah,
that I don't really understand that. Like I said, former players and all that, they still need work. Especially the Championship players who don't earn millions and millions and millions throughout their whole career. I know what they're talking about, or lower league, Premier League players. But I agree. But I also think there's some bad male pundits out there as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think with the whole thing, like, we should definitely have women in the sport, women in commentary and punditry position. I'm not against that at all, but you've got to get the right women in, and there's so few of them. There's a few of them that I actually really enjoy listening to, but some of them just don't have a clue. And like you said, some of the men don't have a clue either. But I guess, because women are new to sort of punditry and in the men's game, like it's a relatively new thing. It's just something for people to jump on. So I'm not sure I completely agree with what he said, but there's definitely some sort of truth to it. Like he's not completely wrong. And you know what? You can tell that as well because of the reaction it's had. Like you don't get that much reaction if it's complete bollocks. Like people will just shrug it off and be like, oh, whatever. But it's obviously struck a chord with a lot of people.
Yeah, like I said, I do agree to a certain extent. Like you said, and there is some good ones. I like the woman that does the BT. She normally does the early games, or TNT, whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
Commentating. She's okay. But I don't know, I was watching one, I think it was the Amazon lot. Every single game had a woman commentator on. And I think I was watching the Liverpool game. And she just kept calling Van Dijk the whole way through. Calling him Von Dijk. His name is not Von Dijk. Like, if you don't know the players' names, like, what are you actually doing on there?
Yeah, that's true. They should be expected to do. Like, I mean, I know. I don't know if you've seen like Peter Drury, for example. He's done a few videos or whatever showing all these notes he's taken before the game, and he's got like a whole book of all these notes, all the different stats.
Yeah.
All the players, everything like that. And if the women that are coming on commentary are putting just as much effort in and they've got their facts straight and they're coming up with good, valid points that make people think about it, then fair enough. And they should be there. But what I don't want is them coming into the game and just sort of coasting, being like, well, they can't sack us because, we're checking a box. So we're just going to come in and just talk shit because it's not good for us that are paying to watch it.
Yeah, because Barton did come out with some good points. Obviously, he could have said it a lot better. Because when he first initially done the tweets, they were quite bad.
Yeah,
I knew what he was trying to say, but then he done the Piers Morgan interview, and he's a bit more explaining why he thinks that. Like, I think he saw a goal. I can't remember who it was, Brighton game or something, wasn't it? And the commentator, the game he was watching, said said the bloke hit it with his instep or something. Or no, he put it through his laces. It wasn't anywhere near his laces. It was like a instep, like curling shot.
Yeah.
To be a thing, you've got to be factually correct because it's young kids and whatnot watching it, going, "Oh, is that what that means?" Through the laces? No, it's not. So we've got to be factually correct. But yeah, there is some bad male ones as well. Robbie Savage.
I don't mind Robbie Savage. I don't like him, but I don't mind him. Like he's not one that makes me want to switch it off. There's a few people that I can't watch. One of them is Clinton Morrison.
I quite like him.
I can't watch him talk about football. Like it's so boring.
Tim Sherwood, awful.
Yeah, yeah. Tim Sherwood, is terrible. But there was a few out there that they shouldn't be doing it. And he did say as well, Joey Barton, that he thinks that it should be, people that have played the game at a high level that are talking about it. And I do sort of agree it to an extent, but I do think there's a place for people that watch the game and have like a fan sort of opinion, as long as they know what they're talking about. It doesn't have to be World Cup winners and
Peter Drury's, John Motson's.
Yeah. Some of the best commentators didn't play the game at a high level.
The guy that does TNT, what's his name? Fletcher.
Oh yeah, Dan Fletcher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I partially agree with him, but he did. He just didn't come across very well on Twitter, and then he didn't back down either, did he? He kept pushing the point. I think he's gone on Rio Ferdinand's podcast as well.
His Piers Morgan interview was better. Like he actually come out with good points, and it was more of like why he thinks that, not just what did he say? You don't see men on the knitting commentary or something, wasn't it? Or commentating on washing up or something like stupid like that.
Christ. No, I know that a lot of people that come out, they see people that agree with Joe Barton and just paint everyone with the same brush and just say, "Oh, you're all, threatened or can't handle women coming in," and it's not that at all. Like, we just judge it by what we see and what we listen to. I absolutely have no problem listening to women talk about the men's game if the women are good. You know, I quite like a bit of tennis. And some of the women that commentate on men's tennis are really, really good, and they know exactly what they're talking about, really factual, have played the game at a high level, and they're fine to listen to. You know, it's the same with football. You just need to have the right people doing it, not just checking boxes.
You know, one of the best bits about it is this, like all the. I'm going to sound sexist now, probably, but it's not. It's like a factual thing. So all the comments from women were, no, Laura Woods is really good. Laura Woods isn't a football commentator or a football pundit. She's a presenter of a show.
Yeah.
She does not talk football, does she? She asks the footballers questions. She does not talk football. She doesn't get involved in, he should be doing this, he should be doing that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like she's a fan. Yeah. She's an Arsenal fan. She's passionate about it. And you know, you ask her about her favourite team and her players and the history. She knows all of that stuff because so do we. Like we're fans. But she's not turning around saying, "Oh yeah, in the dressing room, the manager's going to be telling him to do this and do that," because she doesn't know because she's not been in a dressing room, you know, in a men's game. So yeah, I really do like Laura Woods. Another one, Kate Abdo. I really like her as well, who does the CBS Champions League show. Really good presenter. But yeah,
but again, she don't talk about stuff they don't know. Yeah. Like I'm going to go on a thing here, but what Joey Barton said as well, there is levels. You cannot, right, be a woman that's played the women's game. Let's be honest, Maidstone would turn them over. You can't then come on TV and tell Haaland where he should be standing or what he should be doing or how he should be finishing. I don't believe that. I don't believe that is a. You can't.
Yeah, I suppose that is the thing. Like, but even people like John Motson, Martin Tyler, Peter Jury, they never, when they're commentating, they never say, "Oh yeah, he should have been over there. He should have been over there." They just tell you what's happened, and then whoever's next to them, you Gary Neville or you Jamie Carragher, the people that have actually played the game, they're the ones that are saying, "Well, his manager's not going to be happy with that. He wants him here," because they actually have been in dressing rooms at that level and know what they're talking about. So they don't try and do that stuff. I think that's the problem as well, which I didn't really think of before. But yeah, that's part of the problem.
Anyways,
let's know what you think. I know it's a controversial subject, and there's going to be a lot of disagreement. But football is a game of opinions. Fair play to Joey Barton for expressing his opinion, although he could have done it a bit better. Is probably what we'll go with. Okay, let's move on to last weekend's action then. A few things to go through. Quite a lot of drama happening in the games. We'll start off with Spurs versus Forest. That was the Friday night kickoff. Spurs seemed to have stabled that ship. They were looking a bit rocky, weren't they? And then they got that win against Newcastle. 2-0 against Forest. Seem to be doing all right now. The wheels haven't completely come off.
No, they got a few players back, didn't they? We knew that was a problem when Romero and Van der Ven both got injured. Basuma and Sarr were suspended or whatnot. One of them was injured, one of them was suspended.
Doggy is suspended as well, wasn't he, after that game?
Doggy was suspended. Obviously, Maddison was injured. So there was obviously going to be like a bit of a drop-off with all them players missing. You've got 4 or 5 first-team players out. You're going to struggle a little bit, but they've got a couple back, and they look. I just love watching them, I'll be honest. I know you don't, obviously, as an Arsenal fan. But at this season, I just love watching them. It's what football's about.
Yeah, I suppose. I think that there's such a massive improvement since Ange's taken over. Like, I can't deny that at all. Like, they do look. Like, I'm worried about going to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium this season. We played them at home. I'm not looking forward to going to their place. I haven't said that the last few seasons. I've just been like, yeah, we will probably get something.
They look like they'll score 4 or 5 a game.
They also look like they'll concede 4 or 5 a game. But
yeah, true.
Yeah. But yeah, so the one thing I am going to do is I need to make an apology to Pedro Porro and to Tottenham because. So let me give you some context on this show. What must have been early February. We did a show. We did a worst transfers of the January transfer window, and my pick was Pedro Porro, and I thought he was awful. And then I was showing a clip of Tim Sherwood saying the same thing, which really depressed me. But actually, he's a really good player, and I've actually got him in my fantasy team now because he's been that good. And I do think that he's a lot better now because of what Ange's done with him. He's sort of inverted him, hasn't he? Like I know a lot of the teams are doing that now, but he plays that role really well.
I mean, their defenders don't defend, do they? Their right backs play right mid.
Yeah, they're
So
literally.
he's a lot higher up.
Yeah. But it's mental because, I mean, they didn't concede against Forest, even though they played without no defenders. You just have Romero running around like a madman. But yeah, he's definitely not the worst.
That game.
He's so touch and go though. Was it that game he did something really dodgy, or was it the game before? I can't remember because we haven't done a show in 2 weeks. But one of the games he was lucky not to get sent off. He was running around like headless chicken, like just kicking people in the face. But no, Pedro Porro actually decent player, so I do apologise there to him. The next game to go through is Bournemouth and Luton, which we didn't actually get to the end to. We only got half of that. It was called off in around the 55th minute, something like that. Tom Lockyer had a cardiac arrest. It was confirmed by Luton, well, actually by Bournemouth. Same thing happened to him in the playoffs in May. He's in his 30s already, isn't he, Tom Lockyer? It must be time for him to give it up now, surely.
I mean, you've had 2 in 6 months. You've got to be thinking, this probably isn't for me right now.
Yeah.
2 in 6 months is just, it's not worth trying to carry on, is it? They've obviously got insurance and stuff like that. He's going to be paid off. There's no point risking it. Go into a bit of coaching or something with a club or...
Yeah, definitely. Especially like Luton, playing at the level they're playing at, they spend like 90% of the game chasing around, like after the ball. It's a lot of running. So I just think that, I've never heard of a player going down twice in 6 months with heart attacks or with heart-related problems.
No one wants to see that happen, do they? It's horrible to watch. Like when it happened to Eriksen, it's not nice. And if he comes back in another 5-6 months and it happens again, no one wants to see it. No one wants to see anyone die on a football field.
No. He's just got to be so careful because, he had one warning. He came back. The doctor said he could come back, but he came back. This is the second warning. A lot of people don't get 2 warnings. So
no.
I definitely would say that's probably it now for Lockyer. But before that incident, Dominic Solanke scored again. He is in some form.
Yep. And I read earlier somewhere that if Arsenal yourselves are not successful in Ivan Toney, you're looking at Solanke.
I've heard that. I don't like. I don't like it because I think he's an upgrade on Nketiah, but I don't think he's the one to. We need Toney, Osimhen, that level. I don't think Solanke is going to be. He's not getting in.
How do you know he's not though?
I don't. But how much are Bournemouth going to charge for Solanke? Like, he's going to cost
30,
loads.
40? I don't think it'll cost more than 30, 40 million.
You reckon?
Yeah. 40 million, Bournemouth will have that. They'll take you around, they'll chop you around off 40 million in their bank account.
It's a tough one. I just think that he's somebody I would like to have in my squad, and I'd like to have him come in, and I think he'd do a better job than Eddie Nketiah, for sure. But are you going to win the league with, Dominic Solanke? Liverpool, you got Mo Salah. Man City, you got Erling Haaland. Are you going to win the league with Dominic Solanke as your main guy?
Yeah, but then how many goals does Erling Haaland score for Bournemouth? How many do you reckon? Because it's nowhere near 20, I don't think, for Bournemouth.
Yeah, true, yeah, because if he's not got the service, it's
how
tough.
Many does Solanke score for City if he plays week in, week out?
Yeah, probably quite a few.
It's probably quite a lot. Not Haaland numbers, but
yeah,
you're probably looking at least 20.
Yeah, it is a difficult one. I mean, I wouldn't be absolutely livid if we went and got him at all, but he wouldn't be my top target. It's a bit like when we got Trossard. I was pretty happy with Trossard, but he was never my top choice. Although I'm glad we got him over Mudryk. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah. Just going back to I'd really rate Solanke. I think he's good. But just going back to the game, do you know what actually happens now? Like, do they replay the rest of it like behind closed doors? Surely they can't just start it again at 0-0.
Well, from what I've read, that's what they're going to do, but I don't know how true that is. I've seen a few reports online that they're going to replay the game. Because it's a draw, like it's currently 1-1, they're saying, well, no team's losing out by starting again. So I think that's what they're going to do.
Yeah,
but it seems crazy because you're making them play more football.
But they kind of are going to lose out. Say Luton play Bournemouth behind closed doors or whatever, or whether it is in front of them, they get spanked 4-0. Luton lose out because all they had to do was hold out for another, 30 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah,
They
true.
lose out.
I mean,
Bournemouth go there and lose 2-0. Like they were the team that they was going to score Bournemouth. Bournemouth were going to win that game with that time remaining.
yeah. Yeah, I don't see why they should just play out the remaining minutes, in my opinion. I don't see why, like, those minutes have happened, those goals went in, like, that's all record now. The game hasn't been cancelled, it's been suspended, as in they're going to come back to it. So I don't see why they don't just say, okay, well, there was 35 minutes left, play from there. Like, behind closed doors, because they're not going to get fans in for 35 minutes. And just play the rest of it.
Behind closed doors, it's 1-1, you got 30 odd minutes, whatever. There's no point. I can't see him replaying it. I can't. Like the whole game. Then what happens if Luton lose that game and they miss? They've gone down by a point.
Yeah, there's that.
That might have been the point that they had to hold out for the 20 odd minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah, it could be. Even if they played like a full 90 and somebody gets injured in like the 80th minute, it's like, well, that shouldn't have happened because they should have only played 30 minutes.
Let's be honest, Bournemouth could go there and win 5-0. They could go, Luton go down on goal difference.
Yeah.
I just think, there's so much. I think just play the rest of the game at 30 minutes or whatever it was left behind closed doors and just go from there. I think that's the fairest way, probably.
You just want your fantasy points for Solanke.
I do, because I'm not sure what's going on with that yet, because he was on for my bonus points and I was my captain. So what happens? I don't know.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of confusion about it, and I found a video TikTok earlier where somebody actually emailed their customer support about what's happening with Solanke's points, and they've basically said, we haven't decided yet, we'll let you know.
It's a bit much though, ain't it?
Yeah, it's a bit much to be messaging them about it. Like, unless you've got,
I don't know. Just had a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly. And then the first line of the message was, "We obviously wish Tom Lockyer all the best." Like from fantasy football, it's like, yeah, that's the main concern, not your bloody bonus points.
Although I would like them.
Yeah, I mean that would be nice for you. Although you still got quite a lot of points this week compared to other people.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Catching up. We'll move on to Chelsea versus Sheffield United now. I don't want to take away from the fact that Chelsea actually won this game 2-0 and did well to win the game. I mean, Sheffield United are poor, let's be honest. So it's going to feel like I'm going to go in on Chelsea despite them winning the game. But I was just looking at the league table before we started doing this, and I looked at where Chelsea were, how many points they've got. And I just wanted to point out a few things that I've noticed. Like, honestly, I think that I don't know how Pochettino isn't under more pressure, right? So if Everton didn't get their points deducted, they would be 4 points clear of Chelsea. Everton. I mean, if you look at the Everton team and look at the Chelsea team, if the Bournemouth game didn't get called off and they went on to win, they'd be on the same points. I mean, Bournemouth, who we were calling for their manager to be sacked and we were saying they might go down, they will be level on points for Chelsea. They have 22 points from the 17 games they've played, which is an average of 1.2 points per game. Now, all I'll say about Chelsea is I think the reason that he's not under pressure, Pochettino, is because like Chelsea have literally done everything possible. Like they've changed their owners, they've changed their manager like twice, 3 times. They've spent £1 billion on players. Like what else can they actually do? Like they can't keep changing the manager. So I think that's why it's sort of gone under the radar. Like he needs time. He needs time. But they've been terrible this season.
Oh, horrendous! Was it? They've lost more than they've won, haven't they, this year? They've won 6 games out of 17. Chelsea.
Even before the money came in, they weren't that bad.
No, that's crazy. They shouldn't be where they are. But like I said, I think they've just got to forget this season. Maybe even forget after next season or the season after that. Get these young players in that they want to get them a bit older, a bit used to the Premier League, and they'll be fine. I think in a couple of years once the players have, because they are well young, aren't they? Like a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's no Premier League experience really, apart from the odd couple.
Yeah, Chelsea have pretty much a blank checkbook to throw at it. I mean, they'll always. I mean, I know that they're getting rid of the 7-year contracts that Chelsea were doing. they've voted to get rid of that. So they can't do that anymore to get around FFP. But at the end of the day, Chelsea are going to be able to keep buying players if it doesn't work out. They're in a position where they can. It's not like someone like Brighton or West Ham where they get like £100 million in and then they spend it, and then because they spent it wrong, they're in trouble. Chelsea can just go and spend another £100 million.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be fine, but it is worrying, like how bad they actually have been this season.
Oh yeah, horrendous. But I do hope they stick with Poch because I do think he'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, who else is there?
A couple of windows, he'll be all right.
If Poch was to get sacked, who else is there? Who's already not been at Chelsea?
That's a good point.
People talking about Zidane. I think Man United fans want Zidane, from what I've seen on social media.
I don't get the Zidane thing. I don't really understand it. I think he's not taking these jobs because he knows he's not great.
Yeah, he's done it at big teams.
Manager.
And yeah.
Well, he's done it at Real Madrid, isn't he?
Yeah.
And you had Cristiano Ronaldo scoring you 100 goals a season. It's not. It's a bit easy if you've got a guy that's going to score you literally 100 goals a season.
Yeah. It's like playing Football Manager on cheat mode.
Yeah.
Well, that's my Chelsea sort of rant. So I'm sorry, Chelsea fans. Like, I know you did win, but it's just. I mean, if you didn't win, you'd be even lower. It's just not good. Not a good start to the season. But yeah, you do need time. There's nothing else you can really do. But I just wanted to point it out.
Yeah.
Moving on to Manchester City, 2-2 draw against Crystal Palace. They've dropped points again from the 2-0 winning position. Pep just goes through this point in the season where it feels like he's just fucking around. Like, it feels like he's just, like, John Stones on the bench again. I know he's come back from an injury, but John Stones didn't play. He's playing, people out of position. He played a Kanji at central defensive midfielder the other day. He never starts the same sort of front three. Like, Doku, who's been in good form, didn't start. I don't know if he's injured, but he didn't start. Grealish was in. Obviously, I know Haaland's injured, but they just seem to be just messing about.
But what's crazy is they're still only 5 points behind the top.
Yeah, they're 5 points behind Arsenal.
Is it four games?
Might be 4, 3 or 4.
And to be 2-0 up at Palace and then draw, 2-2. That's not like a Pep team, is it?
No, it happens. It happens to teams. Yeah, and they've still got to be favourites. They've still got to be favourites to win the league, I think. But I mean, we said this. Was it last season or the season before where we think, oh yeah, City are trailing off? It might have even been the season before, and that's when they went with the 4 centre back thing, and they brought Ake in and put him at left back, and then they just went on a mad one. I mean, the end of last season, like, I always think of it as, Arsenal threw it away, we bottled it as an Arsenal fan. But then when you actually look at it, Man City won their last 12 games in a row in the Premier League to win that title.
Yeah,
like, you ain't competing with that. It's just, unless you're
how
like,
many points were you?
I don't even know how many we were. 11,
at one point
maybe.
It was like, at one point it was quite a few. They'll bring it back. They're only 6 points away. People saying, I've heard Pep's under pressure, but Pep ain't under no pressure. They'll win the league, unfortunately, again.
They've just won the treble. Like, even if they don't win the league, it's like, oh, okay, well, we won it twice in a row. We've just won the Champions League. I mean, even if they don't win the league, they could quite easily win the Champions League again. I mean, it doesn't look great this year, the Champions League. I know we'll get into that a bit later, but it doesn't look great this year. They could quite easily go win that again.
I think they'll win the league. I know it's just getting boring, isn't it? With a big 4th time in a row. But they've had this really shocking start, but they're still only 6 points off.
Yeah. And I think Liverpool and Arsenal both have taken points off them as well. And yet they're still only 5 points behind.
Yep.
So, yeah. It's crazy.
Weird old season this season, though. Weird season.
It's good because it's competitive. Like, at least there's 3 teams in it. Because even last season, it wasn't like the league leaders are changing every week. It was Liverpool last week, Arsenal the week before, Arsenal this week. Last season, it was just Arsenal through the whole season, and then Man City the last month, and then they won it. It was just 2 teams in it. But this year, it can go. Even Aston Villa are only point behind. No, they're level on points with Liverpool, I think. Aston Villa.
Yeah, point behind you lot.
And we'll talk about Aston Villa in a minute. But yeah, it's an interesting title race this season. Somebody asked us on TikTok, on social media, about Ederson's red card challenge and wanted us to talk about it. The tackle that Ederson made, on Mateta with Crystal Palace wasn't sent off. Have you seen it?
I'll be honest, I saw it about half an hour ago.
What did you think?
Because after watching it, it's a bit. I don't know how he has got away with it, to be honest. But the only thing I can think of is he's got the guy, hasn't he? He's got the defender with him, who ends up actually behind, doesn't he? Ederson. It's the only thing I can think of that stop. Because if you do that as a player, on the like, if you're a midfielder and you do that, or a defender, you do that, and your goalkeeper's in his goal, and you've got another defender there, you ain't getting sent off for it.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's quite far out, I think that's what saves him. Because what they're saying, what people are saying, is that he basically, if Ederson isn't there or Ederson doesn't take him out, then he's just shooting into an open goal from wherever he is. But it's not necessary. Like, by the time he's done that, somebody's probably on the line. Like, he's not really the last man. But I do think he could have gone for it. Like, it could have gone either way. But City do tend to get the benefit with a lot of the decisions. Like, 100%. I feel that.
If the ref had sent him off, that even could have gone to VAR. They wouldn't have changed that. No. I don't think. No one would have anything to say about it. They'd go, fair enough. So, stupid decision. But if it's not the goalkeeper, it's a booking. It's not a red card.
Yeah, definitely.
So we normally say, like, keepers get the benefit of the doubt and they wouldn't have been pushed over or whatever. And that normally wouldn't be a free kick. But now we're going the other way around on this one. We're saying he should be sent off. But any other player on the field, it's a booking.
Yeah. Agreed.
And that question was from the commentator 8169.
Hope that answers your question.
TikTok. So if anyone is out there on TikTok, sees our little posts, if you've got any questions, just whack them in.
Yeah, we will go through all of them. Whilst we're on the subject of red cards, let's talk about the red card for Raul Jimenez in the Wolves. Fulham. Was it Fulham Wolves? Fulham.
Newcastle, wasn't it?
Sorry, Fulham Newcastle game. It's because he used to play for Wolves. I've got them in my head. The Fulham Newcastle game. So I didn't see this at the time. I've gone back and watched it. I mean, Triple H would have been proud of that. But that was a proper knee to the face. Like, that was. Did you think it was a red?
It's one of them. It's a red. It's a red. It's just one of them moments, isn't it? He probably can't stop himself at that point because he's full of. Let's be honest, Raul Jimenez doesn't run a lot, does he? So he's probably it's the fastest I've run in years. He's not going to be able to stop himself. Hasn't been able to. I don't know why he's jumped up like that. I don't. Yeah. Probably would have been better just carry on running. But yeah, I don't know what he's done. It's just one of the moments, isn't it? It's a bit of rush of blood to the head. You've done something stupid to get sent off. He hasn't any malice in it. I think it's just.
He was booked, wasn't he, initially? And then it was overturned by VAR into a red card. It's one of those that it's probably going to win the guy. It's probably not dangerous. It's probably not going to hurt him, really, because he didn't really connect with a knee. He just sort of. I mean, it was a proper forceful tackle. It probably is a red. But it's just one of those. There's like literally no attempt to play the ball. That's the thing, because the ball went probably a good 2 or 3 seconds before we jumped into him. And you just, like, when I'm watching the clip of it, the ball goes and like nothing's happening. And suddenly you've just got Raul Jimenez coming in, like, just wipes him out.
That's the thing. That's when I watched it. So I didn't know. I went on to, I must have been on TikTok or something. So it was on the phone. So I was quite close up to the Newcastle player.
Yeah.
And the ball had gone. And I was like, well, where is he then? And then all of a sudden he just comes jumping in, knocks him out. I was like, fucking hell, the ball went an hour ago.
Yeah, I mean, he must have jumped well early to get that height as well. Like, he probably was like jumping. That's crazy. It was a crazy decision. And he was so good as well, right? He was so good the last few weeks. He scored quite a few goals. A lot of people probably put him in their fantasy teams, and then he's got sent off the next week.
Mad decision, crazy.
Mental, but yeah, that's a few red cards this week. We've got one more to talk about a little bit later. We'll quickly move on to Everton. We spoke about them when we were talking about Chelsea. But they're in such good form. I mean, I know that Burnley are terrible. They're honestly, watching them, they don't look menacing at all. But Everton are keeping clean sheets. I think they said on commentary that Jordan Pickford has got 4 in a row now. And it's the first time he's ever done that in his career. 4 clean sheets in a row.
Yeah. Yeah. They've they lost at Luton, didn't they? In September.
Yeah.
And then they went to Bournemouth, won 3-0. And then a couple of weeks later beat West Ham. Drew against Brighton. Beat Palace. They've beaten Forest, Newcastle, Chelsea, Burnley. Like, they turned the corner 100%. They're playing some good stuff.
Yeah. But if you look at their team, like, other than a few players, I mean, even say that, they've got a very ordinary... Like, if you look at their team on paper, it looks like on par with, like, Luton and Burnley. And there's no names, other than Calvert-Lewin, who, let's face it, is never really fit. Decore's are okay, but they've not got anyone really. I mean, Michael Keane... A lot of players used to play for Burnley, in that Burnley team that went down. They've got Tarkowski in there
The only thing I will say about the Everton team is there's quite a bit of Premier League experience. There's a lot of them players have been there, they've done it, like Pickford, Keane, Tarkowski, McNeil, and then you got Onana, who's obviously not got much Premier League experience, but he looks a good player. Decore, he feels like he's been around forever. Harrison.
Yeah, went down with Leeds.
So they've got
a lot of these players have been relegated.
They've got a lot of hard workers as well. They've got a lot of hard workers.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair,
flashy stuff. It's just...
I quite like Everton, and I hope they stay up, and it looks like they will. At this rate, it looks like they could be pushing for Europe. But yeah, it's just mental. That points deduction. I saw some Man United fans in the comments on one of the videos saying, "Can you please deduct Man United 10 points so it kicks them up the arse and they start playing well?" Which I thought was quite funny. Nice to see some Man United fans with a sense of humour.
Fair play to Everton. Like, since that, they've kicked on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd like to see where they're going to end up. But Sean Dyche done a really good job. A lot of people didn't know if he was the right man for it, but yeah, really good job. We'll move on to Sunday's action now. We want to talk about Aston Villa because they've won again. Brentford went down to 10 men. Another red card. I didn't actually see that one. I don't know if you've seen the red card in the Brentford game.
Yeah, I saw that. It's a red card.
It was a red card,
yeah.
And Villa pulled it out. They came from behind, 1-2-1. Ollie Watkins on the score sheet again. Villa are level on points with Liverpool in second, above Manchester City. And Man City aren't playing next week. They're going to be above Man City at Christmas, Aston Villa, because Man City are now playing in the Club World Cup. Won't be playing. So, you said that Villa were going to be good this season. And then they got absolutely battered by Newcastle in the first game and said, oh, hang on a minute. But since then, they have been ridiculous.
You know what's crazy as well is who did they play the other week? Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And it was 2-2.
Yeah.
If they had won that game, they'd be top of the league. They lost against Nottingham Forest this season as well. Like, if they'd won both them games, they'd be 5 points clear at the top of the league.
That's crazy.
It's mad.
Somebody
fair
said
play to them.
Yeah, they're doing amazing things. Somebody said the league is looking like it does at the start of the season with Arsenal and Aston Villa at the top. Alphabetical order. But yeah, Unai Emery's done ridiculous things. I mean, they're top of their group in the Conference League as well. It's not just the Premier League. Like, they're top of their group in Europe.
Yeah.
Aston Villa have been in Europe in years.
So well.
Yeah, so well. And they're going to get big money for, if Douglas Luiz does move on, they'll get big money for him. Ollie Watkins, big money. But
yeah,
Villa fans
I
probably excited.
So I got asked if they're going to be in a title race. I don't see it. Don't see them being in a title race. But I'd love to say that they are going to be challenging like Arsenal, Liverpool, City. I think they will tail off a bit. They can go to Nottingham Forest and lose. Yeah.
But so, do you think they will get top 4 though?
It's mad because at the beginning of the season I said they will get top 4.
Yeah.
And they've even impressed me since I said that, but I don't think they will.
It's hard because there's so many teams now that are going for that top four. I mean, are they better than Tottenham? Like, consistently, do they have the squad depth to compete with Tottenham? With Newcastle, I mean, Newcastle. To be fair, Newcastle don't have massive squad depth, but they've been able to bring through that 18-year-old kid, that Lewis Miley, and he looks a player and a half. They've got sort of the youngsters to bring through. Villa, I don't know who Villa have if they get an injury crisis.
Personally, I think it will be City will win, Liverpool, Arsenal in either second or third, either one, and I think Tottenham will get top four.
No Man United. Do you want to give me that £50 now then?
Yeah, I might as well. Fucking terrible.
Yeah, we'll get on to Man United. They actually were all right. Let's talk about it now. Actually, Man United, Liverpool, 0-0. I mean, everyone expected Man United to get absolutely spanked. So to keep Liverpool out for 90 minutes, it's a pretty good result for them.
It is, but on another day, that's 10-0. They did not even turn up to win that game, did they? I know, like, Roy Keane had a go at Van Dijk for saying it, but they didn't. They did not turn up. And you're Man United, and you're turning up not to win games now. You're turning up to try and get a point. It's...
You know what? I saw a post on TikTok, right? Probably from a young fan. I don't know how young, but you can just tell. A Man United fan, and they posted the result 0-0, Man United Liverpool. And on the next slide, they put, "Come on, Arsenal, we did you a favour," or something. Like, that's a Man United fan, and their mentality is they want Arsenal to win. Like, Man United fans should never be thinking like that. I'm not saying that they shouldn't want anyone to win the league. They should be the ones. They shouldn't be doing other teams favours. They should be up there. They're the biggest club in England. They should be up there. And even the mentality now of some of the fans that maybe haven't seen Man United win anything in a few years because they're too young to remember it, that's the mentality the new generation of Man United fans are coming in with. We're not challenging for Premier Leagues.
I was quite surprised Roy Keane didn't go the other way and be like, why have Man United turned up at Anfield and trying to get a draw? 34 shots Liverpool had in that game. The highest amount of shots they've had all season. So, like, we could say, it's a good result for them, and it is. They've got a point at Anfield after they have been terrible this season. They just look awful. But another day, that's another 7-0 hammering.
Yeah, I mean, I say all of this. You watch Arsenal go to Anfield next week and get battered like 6-0, and I will be saying we should have played like Man United and try to stop them from scoring. But I don't think we will play like that.
A Man United team against Liverpool, a derby, you don't go there to draw. They had one shot on target.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't even have a corner. Not one single corner in that game.
I'll tell you who was good though for Man United, who impressed me. Johnny Evans. He got in the way of everything. Like, he was everywhere, and Johnny Evans was probably Man United's best player. And in 2023, Man United have gone to Anfield, and Johnny Evans has been their best player. It's just crazy.
That's the state they're in. That he's even in the squad, let alone starting a game at Anfield next to Raphael Varane. When Varane turned up at Man United, right, he thought, nice, he's going to be right. Big club, Man United. Going to, see if we can get the glory days back, win some trophies. All right, Johnny Evans, how are you doing? What are you doing here? You coach? No, mate, I'm starting today. Like, what the fuck?
I know Man United have a lot of injuries. Like, I get that they've had an injury crisis, and especially at the back, they've had so many injuries. And I've been saying this for weeks as well. But I mean, why they even sign players like? I mean, I know I just said he played well, and he did, but. Do you know who would be better? I mean, I know you probably won't like this because you're not a fan of him. But I'll tell you who would be better for Man United than having... They should, if they need a quick solution, they should go out and sign Lewis Dunk from Brighton. He was so good against Arsenal. Like, it would have been about 10-0 if it wasn't for Dunk. He's so underrated in the Brighton team. I'm pretty sure at the start of the season, I was saying that he was shit. I've had a bit of a mare with terrible opinions, but watching him, actually, he's such a good player for them, and he really does put everything on the line. And he was so good for Brighton in that 2-0 defeat. So there's players out there that they can get.
It's mad, isn't it? Like we're in this year, and Man United are starting Johnny Evans. It's crazy.
Yeah. But let's talk about Diego Dalot and that red card. So yeah, I put something on TikTok yesterday, and yeah, got a lot of abuse for my opinion on this. So, like, I want to be clear as to what my opinion actually is. I think that the rule that made him get sent off is stupid, and I think that referees are too protected, and it's stupid. But a Premier League player, like a full international, like Diego Dalot, who knows the rules, you're away at Anfield, you were expected to get drummed, you could have got battered 7-0 because it's been that kind of game, but you're holding out, you're in the 80th or 85th, 88th minute, and you're holding on to a 0-0. Right, you kick off because the decision didn't go your way, and he got it wrong. It was a throw into Man United, so I get why he was upset. He kicked off, hand gestures, all that. He got booked. To then carry on doing hand gestures and swearing at the referee after you've literally just been booked for it is absolute madness because you're just asking for trouble. Like, and it's Michael Oliver as well. He's one of the more senior referees that England have got. If anyone's going to take that risk and send off a player like that, it will be him. I just think it was just stupid from Dalot, and I think he deserved to get sent off.
The rules are you get sent off. I don't agree with it at all, and I think it depends. Like I've seen this guy on TikTok, Arsenal fan, and he was like nearly in tears, moaning about how the referees are treating Arteta. Same thing. He knows the rules. He's a professional. He's been told all the rules. Don't do it. But then when it was yesterday, he just went, "Oh well, Dalot knew the rules."
Yep.
Like
Arteta actually.
That's what I mean. It can't just.
It can't be one rule for one.
The time. You can't be.
Arteta actually got booked against Brighton for. So it was a tackle, and Arteta wanted a yellow card. So he was mouthing off to the fourth official as he normally does, holding up the imaginary card or whatever. And the referee weren't going to give it. The referee put the ball down for the free kick. He then went over and booked Arteta for dissent or for whatever. And then he actually went and booked the player. Yeah. So Arteta and whoever else actually changed his mind, but he still booked him because you can't do that and it's against the rules. I just think to pick up one yellow card for it is one thing, but two.
I think it's absolute madness though that a referee can make a mistake. You then tell them that they've made a mistake. All right, you've probably chucked a bit of language in there. It's men's football. It's a derby game. It's the 86th minute. Like you said, you're fucking working your ass off for a point.
Yeah.
Because that's all they done. Then defenders, didn't they? They just defended and defended and defended.
Yeah.
You've worked so hard. You think you've got to throw, relieve a bit of the pressure. The ref fucking makes a mistake.
Yeah.
As a person or as a man, you start shouting, didn't you?
Yeah.
I don't think we should be booking people for that.
That was the argument I had that you're not allowed to show a bit of passion anymore. And I agree the rule's stupid. But then I guess what they're looking at I think there's two things they're looking at. One, they don't want the players intimidating the referees, especially after what happened in Turkey where the referee was punched in the face and then kicked on the floor. Shut that down as soon as possible. But also, obviously this game's broadcast on TV around the world. You don't want young kids, thinking, oh yeah, the referee does that, I can just, do this, do that. And I think that's what they're trying to get out of football. But, if you've played the game, you've been in a match with a bad decision, you know how frustrating it is. So I do sympathise with him, but at the same time, I think it was stupid.
But then you don't think at that time, do you? That's what I mean. They're just going to suck the passion out of football. I'm not saying he shouldn't have been sent off because the rules are he should be sent off.
Yeah.
But you've got to change that. There's got to be some kind of common sense. Sunderland had one, didn't we, against Middlesbrough? And it was a blatant free kick and it wasn't given. And one of the players said, that's a fucking foul, ref. Didn't even swear at him. Didn't even call him a cunt or whatever. Just said, that's a fucking foul, ref. He's sending him off. He sent him off for it.
Yeah, I do think
there's got to be some kind of common sense.
Yeah, it is stupid because, if you're not swearing at them and calling them a name or whatever, then you're not, it's just part of speech. It's a stupid rule, but I do think it was the correct decision based on the rules of the game. I just don't think the rules are very good. I just think there needs to be some sort of leniency, especially like you said in a derby last minute. But I think
I
that
agree.
I think that like, basically the rules being what they are, I probably would have done what Michael Oliver did if I was a referee, because that's the rules.
The rules are the rules, which is fair enough. They sent him off for it, and we have been saying, didn't we, like from the beginning when this rule came in, that someone will be sent off for it soon, and that's what should happen. And now it's happened. I'm like, well, it should have happened really. But if they're going to put the rules in, they need to enforce them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like what we were saying at the start of the season about time wasting, right? If a goalkeeper's booked for something, let's say Edison, who was booked for that ridiculous tackle, and then he starts time wasting and gets sent off. Now, are we going to sit here on the next episode and then say, well, you know what? This needs a bit of common sense. He's obviously going to slow the play down. It's part of football. It's the 88. Unless they send him off, players are going to keep doing it. So we call for it in some situations, but in other situations, when we then look at it in hindsight and go, is that really good for the game?
No, this. I don't like the rule. I think they're just trying to suck every bit of passion out of football, and soon you might as well just stick 11 robots against 11 robots and have no emotion and just see who can score more goals. That's what it's going to end up at.
That's what it's going to be. AI taking over. It's not going to be the ATMs. It's going to be football, and it's just going to be, the referee is just going to be a robot, and it's just going to be like, yeah, no, it's a foul, yellow card.
That's what's going to happen soon. That's what's going to happen. That's the way it's going. They're just sucking all passion out of football.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of these managers and even the players, they know they're going to get fined for being sent off or for by the FA, like the managers for saying things, but they take the hit because they're so passionate about what's happened that they and they're prodded and probed and asked about it, especially the managers after the games. So yeah, it's just pure passion, isn't it? And I can see why it's happened. Maybe I'm a bit harsh saying that it was been stupid, but you must be aware of what time is in the game. No.
You're not though, are you? You aren't thinking in that moment. You've worked your ass off. You've run around for 80 odd minutes. You're going to get a point at Anfield after a terrible season. Your manager's under pressure. When was the last time they got a result at Liverpool? I mean, last time they went there, they lost 7-0.
Yeah.
So to not concede and then goes against you, you ain't thinking. You're just going to be going, what the you're going to have a go. You're not thinking, are you really?
I get the first one, and I get why he did it. It was just the fact that he was booked. He literally got booked for it, and then did the same thing. It's like telling a little kid not to scream or not to do something, and then they just go and do it again anyway. Like, what do you think's going to happen? You get told off, aren't you?
It's probably made him more irate. You've got a decision. The referee's got it wrong. You told the referee's got it wrong, and then he's booked you for telling you he's got it wrong.
Yeah. To be fair, he'll probably look back at that Michael Oliver and go, "Oh, fuck's sake, fuck that right up." But it was the original decision he got wrong to actually give the throw in against Man United. But it's one that splits opinion anyway. We'll move on to just a little comparison piece. I found something on social media the other day and just wanted to talk about it. And it's around Declan Rice. So Declan Rice obviously came to Arsenal in the summer. 100 million? Yeah, it was 100 million. West Ham got that money and they spent it on Mohamed Kudus, Addison Alvarez, and James Ward-Prowse. So that they spent pretty much all the money on those three players. So who got the better out of the deal? Like, if you had to pick one.
On paper, you'd say West Ham.
Three's always better than one, normally, you'd say.
And they look good. That Kudus and Alvarez look brilliant. They look really good. You know what you get with James Ward-Prowse. He can kick a ball.
Yeah. You do
not much else, but he can kick a ball.
Good set piece taker.
If Arsenal go and win the league this year, it's Arsenal, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I looked at this and I spent quite a while looking at it, and I think this is probably one of the few deals that I've ever seen where both sides have just done really, really well out of it. Like no one's really been mugged off. Arsenal got Declan Rice, who's been our best player this season. At the start of the season, I put him in my team of the season more in hope than expectation, and I think he will be in there at the end of the season. In that team of the season. And West Ham have been great with those players. Kudus has been great. He's scored a few goals. James Ward-Prowse as well, and Alvarez. So I think both teams have just done really, really well out of it.
Yeah, I think it will all depend on, like I said, if Arsenal win the league in the next 2 or 3 years, then you'd probably say Arsenal got the better deal because Declan Rice is a massive part of that. But if they don't win the league in 4 or 5 years' time, they don't win Champions League.
Yeah.
Edison Alvarez has just gone for 100 million to Man City. West Ham have won a Europa League and are getting top sevens. You'd probably say West Ham. So I think both have got good deals, but I think it all depends in the next couple of seasons to see who's got the better. But then if Arsenal win the league this year, it's Declan Rice, isn't it?
It's Declan Rice. It also depends on. I mean, Declan Rice is. I don't want to jinx him or touch wood, but Declan Rice doesn't seem to get injured very much. Like he's just plays, and he was like it for West Ham. Plays every game. He's always fit. If Declan Rice picked up a long-term injury, then straight away you'd say, well, West Ham have got 3 players out of it. Arsenal, you know, what happened to Timber? He went down during his first competitive game for Arsenal. We've not seen him since. So,
yeah,
I thought that was an interesting one. And we're going to finish off today's episode with a little bit on the Champions League draw. It was made today. We're recording on Monday. It was made 11 o'clock. I missed it because I was in a meeting at work. I couldn't watch this one, but I saw the draw, and I mean, it's really lopsided, isn't it? Like all of the good teams that are in it won their groups, so they're playing all the weaker teams, which is how it should work, really. But it's going to make for some really boring ties. I mean, who wants to watch Copenhagen versus City in knockout football?
Lazio versus Munich, PSG versus Real Sociedad.
I mean, even Arsenal Porto, like obviously as an Arsenal fan, I'm excited and want to watch it. But as a neutral, I can't imagine people saying, "Oh, I've got to go and watch Arsenal Porto on the." You know, PSV
I said it in the group
Porto,
when I saw the draw. I think that's one of the worst 16s I've seen.
Yeah, it is pretty bad. But the teams are there because
even when you look at but when you look at Barcelona, are you worried about playing Barcelona as an Arsenal fan? I wouldn't be.
No, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about anyone other than Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Man City.
That's what I'm saying. Like for quality, this is the worst 16 I've seen. Porto, average. Barcelona, they're not the same Barcelona. PSG are poor, aren't they? Really?
Yeah.
Inter Milan, Atletico, PSV, and Dortmund. Lazio. I mean, I haven't even heard of Lazio for years.
Yeah, they were in the Europa League for years. I don't even know how they've managed to get into the last 16 of the Champions League. Leipzig,
Copenhagen, Leipzig.
Level was around about. Inter versus Atletico will be a good game. That'll probably be the best game, I think, of the round because they're quite evenly matched, I would say. But Atletico don't play nice football, do they? It's not going to be good to watch.
No, I just think it's one of the worst 16s I've seen in a long time.
But they're there because they've beaten the teams that are supposed the bigger names. That Man United went out, Copenhagen went through in their group, Newcastle are out. Not that they were any better than the teams that are there, but a lot of the teams, Liverpool didn't even qualify.
Chelsea's not even in it. Yeah.
No.
But that's
so
what I mean.
English teams? Is that why we're? Yeah, is that why we're saying that though? Because Chelsea aren't there, Liverpool aren't there.
Because you expect that you maybe Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool. So there's 3 teams straight away you expect to be in it, and then you've got Arsenal, Barca, Real Madrid, Munich. And then you normally have like an AC Milan, Inter Milan, Ajax.
Yep.
It just
AC Milan.
You normally have a Portuguese, Lisbon or a Benfica.
But yeah, I mean, Ajax have been terrible this season, haven't they? They got, battered by Brighton in the Europa League group. Like the big names just are on the decline by the looks of it. And this is another reason why that whole Super League thing came up, because these European big teams knew that they were on the way down, a lot of them, and they just try to do anything. Like, other than Real Madrid, that are still at the top. Bayern Munich are still. Yeah, signing Harry Kane, that was big for them. Like, Bayern Munich is still at the top. They were playing with Choupo-Moting up front last season, so that's a massive difference.
But if you said to like an Arsenal fan, when was the last time you was in the Champions League?
Oh, it must have been 4 or 5 years ago, 2018, I think, something like that.
If I said to you in like 2019, 2020, that you would be in a round of 16 with that, and knowing what that Barcelona team is now, you'd be loving that. You'd take that all day long.
Yeah,
you've got a chance of winning it. That's how.
We're full favourites.
Arsenal are a bad side. That's top of the Premier League, but you could win that quite easily. You got Real Madrid, probably maybe Man City, where you've got to be like playing Real Madrid or City. The rest, I think you beat.
The last time Arsenal were in the Champions League, we were losing 10-2 to Bayern Munich on aggregate. Exactly. I just don't see. When that straw was made and I looked at the teams, part of me wanted PSG. Because I wanted a big team, like to dump out, to be like, right, look, we are this is how good we are. Like, we're not just beating, Luton and these Premier League teams. We've knocked out PSG, but we've not had the opportunity yet in Europe. Like, so far in Europe, all we've been drawn against is Europa League teams. Like, we've had PSV, we played them in Europa League last season in the group stage. Lens, it's even Porto. I mean, yes, they're a Champions League team, but that barely. They don't normally get through the group stage. So, I want a Champions League team. I want to go to a Bayern Munich. I want the challenge. And I think that's the difference this time, because back in 2018 or whenever it was we were in the competition, I didn't want those teams. Like, I didn't want anything to do with those teams. With that last 16, I'll be wanting Porto, Copenhagen, Real Sociedad in the final. But this year, I want the big teams because I think we can, most of them we can beat.
Yeah, because most of them aren't big teams anymore, are they? Just big on reputation.
Big names.
Big names, yeah. Like, I didn't look at one of them single games and thought, that's going to be a real good game. Like round of 16, knockout Champions League football. I didn't look at one of them and think, I can't wait for that.
No. Well, obviously, I'm looking forward to the Arsenal one, but yeah, on paper, like, as a neutral, there's nothing there that makes you...
Easy wins for most of them.
But this is how the Champions League should be. Like, this is what it's designed for, isn't it? Because the big teams are seeded because they're at the top of their group, and then they get put against the smaller teams to weed out. That's how it's supposed to be.
It's not made to be this much shit in it.
No, it's a bit like the World Cup where you've just got so much crap.
Yeah,
that you get easy games.
PSV, Copenhagen, and all that, they shouldn't have qualified for the round of 16, should they?
No, and then they're not a big team, but Sevilla, right? I mean, Europa League champions, how many times in a row? They didn't get a single win in the group stage. They didn't beat anyone. 2 draws, 5 losses, or something like that. Well, maths might quite be around that. But yeah,
it's like you said, these big teams, they're on the decline.
Yeah, but if it turns out Arsenal win the Champions League, then I don't know what I'll do. I'll have
take it.
Yeah, I'll have a celebratory episode. I'll come on with a drink and chill out.
Just by yourself, just for an hour. Just go, come on, Arsenal.
Yeah,
just crying.
I'll get Barron on. That is the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. We will be back next week, me and Billy, to talk about the next round of fixtures. It's getting a little bit congested now as we're getting closer towards Christmas. I'm not sure when next week's episode will be out. Obviously, Monday is Christmas Day. We will get something out to you next week. If you've got any questions, as normal, let us know on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. We will always respond to you. But have a good Christmas, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Football feast, extra podcast, playing soccer, grab your piece, playing soccer, time to meet, playing soccer, time to quit, they finna talk a lot, okay.